The world won't understand you. Hey, but it's okay. Said the world won't understand you. Cause I made you in my own way. Said the world won't understand you. Cause I made you.
Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to episode 66 of In a Good Way podcast. Today's special guest is Destiny, aka QueenCup, aka High Priestess 119. She's also a business owner and she does tarot readings on YouTube. So welcome, Destiny. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's an absolute privilege and honor to be here.
No, thank you so much. Yeah, I've been watching you. I was telling you, I found you when I first went down the tarot reading rabbit hole, and then I came across your channel, and your readings always seem to resonate. And I know over time, like when I found you as a tarot reader, and then eventually, you were doing like collective readings, right? And I saw that at one point you started a business, like you said, selling frankincense and myrrh, right?
Yeah.
And now you have the retreats as well?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll get all into that. So yeah, I wanted to ask you, like in the beginning, how did it start? Were you already having any kind of spiritual things happening when you were young? Like, was your mom already tapped in, or family, or different things?
I definitely inherited this spiritual journey of consciousness, ascension. I mean, my dad is super tapped in, has always had dreams, experienced sleep paralysis. I mean, he's always predicted stuff, and he wouldn't consider himself, a high priest, or label himself with all of these kind of things, but he's definitely super spiritual, as is my mother and her mother. And I actually was exposed to tarot for the first time when I was about 9 years old.
Oh, wow.
Where my aunt did a tarot reading for me. I don't remember anything she said. I don't remember anything about the reading. I just remember the cards and how cool it was. And I never owned my own deck until my adulthood. And I had a friend that I worked with. And after work, we would go to her house. We would drink, smoke pot, and we would pull cards about whatever guys we were obsessed about at the time. So, I started getting familiar with using them again and just felt drawn to them. And then I started to, a friend of mine told me about tarot on YouTube. And I'm like, people do readings on YouTube? And then I found a reader, and he was so hilarious. I spent 3 hours just watching him just rip everyone apart and just read everybody for filth. And I said, this is so cool. Like, I think I could do this. And I started with the zodiac signs. And I put myself out there. And when I did that, it was very like, I just want to put myself out of my comfort zone. I just want to try something out. At the time, I was working 9 to 5. I was a recruitment consultant at a firm, and that was my full-time job. So I definitely didn't start tarot with any thought of like, I'm going to create a business or it'll become lucrative. It was really just like, I think I'm good at this and I just want to try it out. And within 6 months, I probably grew the channel to about 20,000 subscribers.
Wow.
And I had already done maybe about a couple hundred free personal readings. I started doing free personal readings just to I didn't feel like it was right charging people money for something I wasn't really versed at doing yet. So that first year I did free readings. I did the zodiac signs, and then I started to charge for readings after I had gotten laid off from a job. So I got laid off from a job, and I had two choices. It was either to go back onto LinkedIn, get another recruitment job, or start doing personal readings and charging a fee for them. And that first month, I doubled my income, and I never looked back. So I've been doing tarot ever since. The channel has grown exponentially ever since. And then I launched a frankincense business. So through my spiritual ascension journey, I really became really conscious about like consumer consciousness and, sustainability and, just becoming more aware of that kind of stuff. And I also have a deep rooted passion for frankincense. I love it. I love how it smells. I love how the smoke feels. I love everything about it. So I found a scientist who is one of the leading scientists and biologists in frankincense,
Oh, wow.
and connected with her, Dr. Anjanette DiCarlo, and she educated me a lot about unsustainability of frankincense, what African people have to go through to get frankincense to us, and some of the ins and outs about the supply chain. So learned about blockchain and things like that. And then got my first ton of frankincense, and we
Oh, wow.
incorporated smudge a lot. And we're almost done our first ton, which is amazing. But that is the frankincense business. You can buy your own frankincense at www.smudgealot.com. But so that's my little baby there. But the core of what I do, the umbrella of all of that, is Angel Gang. And that's the community I've built through the QueenCup platform, where we ascend together, we do it together. So the approach that I take to reading tarot is different than I did originally. I read tarot as something external to the viewer, and now I read tarot as something internal and external, because so within, so without. So we do this thing called Ascension together, and yeah, that's pretty much the overall of what I do, the businesses, and how I engage professionally with the world.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. And so what are some of the benefits of frankincense?
Frankincense is the first traded thing in the world.
Oh, wow.
If trade routes were created for frankincense. So just a little history about frankincense. A lot of people know what frankincense is because of the three kings bringing it to baby Jesus. That's actually where the obsession started with regards to wanting to know more. I couldn't understand why three kings would travel so far to bring this baby frankincense and myrrh. So I needed to know why. And I actually did find out why. Back in those days, arthritis could cripple somebody by the age of 25.
Wow.
So frankincense was used for arthritis. And if you look, the Arthritis Association to this day will prescribe benzoic acid, which is the key component to frankincense, which is one of the most powerful anti-inflammatories that you can consume. So that is actually the primary history of frankincense. It wasn't for burning, mind you. Cleopatra, some of our greatest queens would burn frankincense in their temples 24 hours a day, which it's used as spiritual protection. So people use it to cleanse their space. It's an antiseptic, an antimicrobial, an antifungal, and an antiviral. So from like a scientific perspective, it is to clean things, right? But from a spiritual perspective, it would do the same thing. So I use it to clear my space. If there's an energy in my home that I do not like, I will clear it with frankincense to keep my space sacred. It's also very powerful with regards to your own darkness. So because it cleans, when you consume it or you burn it with just yourself, it will bring up darkness. It will bring up things that need to be healed, need to be cleansed, and need to be purged. So you can get very different reactions from people when exposed to frankincense, but it does the same thing. It cleans. I mean, in Africa, they barely burn it, but they will dilute it in water and use it as a cleaning supply.
Oh, wow.
Wipe down tables. People use it to get rid of cavities, gingivitis in their mouth and teeth. I mean, you can use, people make oils for medicinal, for cuts, bruises, wounds. So, I mean, the uses of frankincense is honestly endless. So that's why I focus on there's about maybe 36 different species of frankincense, and I only focus on importing the 7 highest qualities, which are consumable, meaning you can eat them.
Oh, wow. So is that how you sell them, to be taken
To
at?
be consumed and burned.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so that's why I only focus on the highest grade, because I wanted multiple uses. If I got any of the other species, you could only really use it to burn or for external use. So I thought if I focus on the highest quality frankincense, I can then sell it to people with all of with being able to do everything frankincense can do. So I drink it as tea every morning to help with inflammation. I've got neck and back problems, so the frankincense will help with that inflammation. Also, I get baggy, puffy eyes. It'll help with that as well. And I do smoke, so it'll help purge the phlegm up in the morning and help with any inflammation in my lungs. So I religiously drink it, and I religiously burn it as well.
Oh, okay. So you sell it as an oil as well to like for the
Yes, we do
arthritis?
sell frankincense oil as well. But we also specialize in selling the raw resin.
Oh,
So when I import the frankincense, we do not process it. We do not alter it in any way. We literally import it, jar it, and distribute it.
oh wow. So myrrh, I'm not too familiar with myrrh either. If you don't mind
So
talking.
myrrh, a lot of people are a bit adverse to using myrrh. Like I
Mhm.
know I've brought in myrrh to certain Rastafaris and they said, I want the frankincense and I don't want the myrrh. And I said, why? And they say myrrh is associated with death.
Oh wow.
And the reason why people spiritually associate it with death is because it used to be used for embalming.
Oh.
And that's why people have a weird stigma, but honestly, that's the only way it relates to death, is how it was used to embalm and preserve a body from it rotting out. It was also actually, back then, it was the first beauty product.
Mm.
So queens would lather it on their face to stop them from aging.
Oh
So,
wow.
and you would have to be of royalty to be able to afford to be able to use it in such a robust way. So to this day, myrrh and frankincense is used in perfume and beauty products of the highest quality around the world to this day. And the biggest importers of frankincense and myrrh is the beauty industry and the Catholic Church.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So the myrrh then it's more used for that, like to use on your
It's
skin and.
used for external. You should not consume myrrh. The biologist explained to me that myrrh consumed in large quantities can be toxic, where frankincense, you can't overdose. Like the worst case scenario is that, you get a stomach ache because you've eaten too much of it. Like that's the
Mm.
worst that could happen, where with myrrh, it could actually become toxic if consumed at high quantities. So that's why it's best to use for like skin products, hair products, things like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're familiar obviously with sage, right? So
Yes.
it sounds like frankincense has a lot of similar qualities that sage does. So what's kind of some of the differences between them, or are they very similar?
I think one of the biggest, because I don't want to be biased, because I'm going to say that frankincense is the most powerful and it's the best, but I think it also is very cultural as well.
Oh, okay.
And I feel like there are different uses for things. So, pine, frankincense, myrrh, pine, Santo Palo, sage, oud. They're all tools used for the similar thing, to cleanse a space, to spiritually support the individual. So like frankincense has been tested with its exposure to the brain and how the brain functions when exposed to the smoke. And
Mm.
it actually supports consciousness. So it helps you to see clear and think clear, which is why in Africa they'll use it as a coffee supplement. So when guys have to work really late, they'll chew frankincense because it stimulates their mind
Oh wow.
so that they can think clear when they're really tired.
Mm.
Right. So that's why spiritually it was always burnt in the temples to help promote consciousness, internal thinking, concentration. So that's why I'll always burn it when I do collective readings. It helps me to stay focused and helps not to have me distracted by all of the energies that are being thrown at me in a collective reading. The frankincense will help me to focus my mind on my downloads, so internally instead of externally. So frankincense is used for that, but so are other smudging tools. And just as we, wrap up that part, I would just like, the viewers who are watching, regardless of what your smudging tool of preference is, to please be considerate and educate yourself on sustainability, where your smudging tools come from and how it affects the people in those villages, because most of these smudging tools come from villages, okay, remote villages where people rely on these this tool that we use as a way to live. Okay, so frankincense, I'll be really honest with you guys, frankincense, people are literally scaling mountains, women are being raped and abused for us to have frankincense today. and they're doing it for rice and water. So companies like Smudge a Lot that focus on sustainability, above table trading, fair trade or no trade, really help to bring positive impact so that us consuming frankincense isn't at the expense of human beings. Oud is another one. Oud is used in some of the most expensive colognes. So think of Tom Ford. All of those colognes are, the base of them is incense called oud. It is a tree that essentially naturally gets a bacterial infection in the tree, and it rots the tree, and that rotten part is the incense.
Wow.
Now you've got people going around the Amazon stabbing trees with viruses, trying to create a counterfeit, if you will, version of oud, right? So now if you go to the Amazon and you even ask for oud, you could be in danger.
Oh, wow.
Because of how much these people now have to protect these trees and the villages that surround and are dependent on these trees. Santo Paulo, that's another issue in the Amazon, unsustainable efforts. A lot of the Santo Paulo used today isn't even Santo Paulo, believe it or not, because of the sustainability efforts to protect the Amazon, the village, and those trees that those villagers rely upon and have for centuries. So just whatever you pick, guys, whether it's sage, Santo Paulo, oud, frankincense, myrrh, please consider sustainability, and please consider the ancient tribes and villages that rely on these smudging tools as a way of survival and living. So yeah, I just wanted to make mention to that.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. So I wanted to ask you as well about your name, High Priestess. Well, first, what does the 119 stand for?
The 119 is my kin number, my galactic signature. So you guys can all find your own kin number. If you go to law of attraction, the lawoftime.com, and you just type into Google kin number calculator, you'll be able to generate your own with just your birthday and the year you were born. And that's where I get my 119 from.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, High Priestess is something that I feel like I earned. And I evolved into. When I started this channel, I was QueenCup. And I literally got that because I was a Cancer sun. You know, I was stoned one night and I said, what am I going to name this channel? And I'll say, you know, I was sitting there for like an hour. I'm like, we're just going to call it QueenCup and leave it at that. And then after, 4 or 5 years of doing this, I evolved to be more conscious of the name that I would call myself, and High Priestess 119 just seemed very straightforward with regards to who I am, who I've become to be, and my job title per se, because there's lots of high priestesses. So I put the 119 to indicate that, yes, I'm a high priestess, but I'm one of many out here doing this work. So yes.
No, thank you. And so like you said, you've used the tarot cards. Can you channel without using the tarot cards? Like, are you able to? Okay.
100%. The cards just make it fun. And I feel like people are very visual. And sometimes even myself as a reader, seeing a picture can help me to better understand the messages, but it also is just a great tool for people. When you're explaining a message to them and you're able to put a picture that can help them better understand what they're hearing, because we're such visual people, it just helps, right? But no, I do not need the cards. The cards are just tools. They are completely useless without my intuition and my divine connection to God. But I know people who read off of shells, they read off of old chicken bones, they read off of fucking, all kinds of crap out of a crystal ball. Like, out of coffee cups, there's many ways. So definitely those of you that, you're all skilled in your ability to be able to read. We all have that ability. It's just picking which means you'd like to go about it is really up to you. Some people channel, if you have a journal, those are channeled messages for yourself, and you can expand that to channel for other people. But some people's journals are giant tarot books with your own Torah, if you will, your own Bible, if you will. So yeah, I don't get caught up in the tools. It's just tarot is definitely my favorite tool for channeling, but I definitely don't need them.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So along your journey, like, because I think a lot of people might be able to relate to it. Were you having doubts, or you like, what am I doing? Like, this is crazy? Or were you pretty much, since you said, like you said, your dad already had that connection, your mom did too. Were you already comfortable with it, or were you doubting at first and going back and forth? And
I don't feel I ever doubted my abilities. I think I doubted how I was being received by people. I think I might have doubted the approach that I was taking, where I felt like I was channeling more for what people wanted to hear than what was actually necessary for them to hear. I feel like sorry. Um Sorry, what was your question again? I just had somebody trying to call me and it distracted me.
no, you're all right. Like, so damn, what was my question? It was
Oh,
like the
yes.
doubt, the doubt,
Doubting myself.
the
So
doubt.
yeah, I didn't necessarily doubt my abilities. I'll be honest, I feel like I don't doubt my abilities. I don't doubt what I do. I just feel like sometimes I doubt the impact. Sometimes I doubt how I am received by people. But and that's more of my own projections of my own insecurities and stuff like that, because I'm beautifully received by the collective. But I think that, when you put yourself out there, you're always going to have a little bit of doubt about how you're received. But if you ground yourself in who you are and what you're good at and what you love to do, that kind of doubt starts to dissipate over time. And you just trust that the people who, resonate with you and appreciate your work will find you. And then when you kind of ground yourself in that, that whole doubt stuff really starts to wash away. But honestly, I never doubted my ability. I've been reading people for Phil since I was a child.
Mm.
I that hasn't changed. You can ask my mother or father. I've always had the ability. I've always been drawn to the truth. No matter how much I was gaslit in my childhood, I was always drawn to the truth, and I was always what they call bold face.
Mm.
So just, you know, and even my grandmother would just be like, "Oh my God, did the child just say that?" I sure did. I sure did. I was that kind of kid. And I think that because of some of the negativity I experienced as a kid, that was something I kind of suppressed a little bit, that tarot helped me to bring out. Because now I'm sharing these truths, and instead of being attacked for it, or mind you, I get attacked online, but it's never the majority. I have people being, thank you for the truth. This is amazing. And I'm like, really? Like, you guys want this? Like, I was getting demonized and cussed out for being honest like this. Like, you guys really want this? And collectives like, give it to us. Like, I love it. So that gave me a lot of validation to just be more of who I already was, and reclaim that part of myself that went dormant after years of being gaslit and attacked and, suppressed. So yeah.
No, yeah, thank you. And like, since you mentioned like the text, how, I mean, I've heard you mention it, so obviously you do believe like in spiritual attacks and all that too, right? So I don't know if you mind talking a little bit about that. Like, what are things, like when someone does that, like I know like we all have the ability to pretty much protect ourselves from it, but like, I don't know, just like in your experience with it, like let's say when someone attempted to attack you spiritually, like what are some things that you experience, and then what's a good way to like repel that, basically?
So see, you said repel. So
Oh.
that's where I am a bit different, and I don't suggest this to everyone. You will know you have the ability to repel, you have the ability to send back if you want, you have the ability to do whatever you want with the energy to make yourself feel safe. My approach to negative energy is I don't send it back and I don't repel it.
Hmm.
I consume it and I transmute it into pure alkaline power. So
Oh.
if you send me negative energy, you're going to feel tired. You're going to feel nervous. You're going to feel like you want something back, because a lot
Mm.
of the time when somebody sends you bad energy, they expect you to send it back to them. I will not. So you are going to get tired. I'm going to take that energy, I'm going to consume it, and I'm going to make it power. And then you're going to wonder how, not just how the attack didn't work, how did you end up growing, ascending, and becoming more powerful and manifesting more? Well, I used your energy.
Mm.
He sent it to me. When he sent it to me, I have the will to do whatever I want with it. So I was having this debate on online with our whole spiritual community talking about, return to sender, return to sender. Well, you ask God for power, energy to manifest, and you're going to get it positive energy and you're going to get it negative energy. And if you send back all the negative energy, you only have half the energy you need to manifest that the universe is providing to you because you're not transmuting. And a lot of people will not take negative energy because they don't know how to transmute it. Meaning, if somebody sends you negative energy and you don't know how to transmute it, you will let that negative energy deteriorate you, make you feel less about yourself, make you feel incapable, make you feel like you can't achieve. When somebody sends me negative energy, I take it to further my ambitions, my goals. I take it as, wow, this is energy, and I'm going to transmute it and say, regardless if somebody thinks I'm not worthy, I know I'm worthy. That's why this person sent this energy to me when they could have sent it to anybody, whether it's good or not. So you have to choose what you want to do with energy, whether it's positive or negative. When you receive energy, what do you do with it? And I'm telling you, I've got some big goals. I've got a lot on the go. So if you send me energy, I'm going to take it. I don't care. I'm going to take it. So if you send me good energy, though, it's not going to drain you, right? But if you send me bad energy, it absolutely will drain you. And that's just from my personal experience. Anybody who has sent me bad energy usually looks away. To me, I can see the exhaustion. I can see the depletion. I can see where they're not doing better. So when somebody sends you negative energy, they're hoping to see results, like I'm in a better position now because of them. But with me, you won't see that. So hopefully, for anybody out there who sends me negative energy, you would have learned to keep it for yourself and do something positive with it to further propel your greatness and your forward ascension. Because if you don't use it to forward your own ascension, I'll use it to forward my ascension. I absolutely.
No, thank you. I feel like I definitely used the wrong word, because I think I've mastered the art of doing that as well. Like whenever something happens, like I'll use it. Like so I had an experience that happened to me, and yeah, I made like 2 albums out of it, right? Like instead of like,
Right.
oh, this and that, boom.
Exactly.
Like, yeah. So
perfect. That's a beautiful way of like giving an example of transmuting something.
yeah.
Right? You could have made what you went through and that negative energy that you experienced deter you, break you down, make you think less worthy of yourself, be less creative. But instead you took it and you fueled it to create something. And do you see how what you created had no negativity? It was positive. It was the most positive thing because you actually transmuted it. So when somebody's sending you negative energy or attacking you, so now when we get specifically to attacks, I have a belief. I will not let the devil bait me out of my home being my heart. Home is where your heart is. I will not let the devil bait me out of my home. So the devil will try to draw you out of your space, right? Draw you out of your space. I don't let the devil do that to me. But if the devil comes to my door, meaning your attack is right here and affects me, my darkness will eat you. Same way, you're getting consumed. You wouldn't think I'm so bony and skinny that I do a lot of energetic eating here. I do a lot of, and I will face the darkness with whatever I feel is necessary to protect and defend myself. But I'll be really honest, collective, it sounds very like contradictory, but when somebody attacks you with hate and darkness, the way you defeat them is actually with the opposite vibration. So it's with love and compassion, and it almost is like, you ever see the scene of now I'm getting the scene from The Wizard of Oz. I'm melting. It's a bit like that. So, which is something I've had to learn. It's a different form of transmutation. It's transmutation externally than internally. I love myself, so I'll transmute that negative energy a lot easier inside. But when it's externally to me, I can find that I struggle more with how to transmute that, meaning I'm going to offer love to somebody who's offering me hate because I realize that's what they need and what's lacking in the energy here. Instead of saying, I'm getting darkness, I'm being attacked with evil, so I'm going to add evil to the equation. And now our darkness is competing. So I'm not going to compete. When my darkness is on display, it's on display, and it's for its time, right? But when I am in an energetic battle with somebody and they're coming with darkness and attacking me, I know I can consume them and submit them with love. So when somebody attacks you and you turn around and you go, I can see your lack of love of self. I can see your trauma bursting through. I don't take this personally. I understand you need love and that you're lonely and you're broken and you're struggling to transmute your dark experiences. Do you see how that was nothing? That whole now attack has nothing to do with me. I took none of it. I actually offered you love. I just offered love to balance out the energy. So now what happens 9 times out of 10 when I do this, it neutralizes the person who was attacking me, submits. It's an energetic thing. When you see an imbalance, you balance it out. Right now, we're in a time where there's all this war and destruction and killing. What would the universe then need from us to create a balance? Love, healing, peace, camaraderie. Like, these are the things the universe is asking when you see imbalances. So even on a day-to-day, on a small scale, when you see that darkness, you have an option to say, okay, I'm in union with the ecosystem. I understand balance is the key, and I'm experiencing a serious imbalance right now with this darkness. So what is missing in the equation? It's love and light, which is probably what you'll have to bring in if you're being attacked by darkness. I mean, you don't have to, you can go and match it up with your own darkness and see whose darkness is better, but just know it gets real dark for everyone when you do that. Right? I'm just saying it. How much do you like the darkness? Me, I'm not afraid of the darkness, but I love the light. So I'm always going to try to balance it out. But on the same time, when I'm in a space where it's too much light, I will be the darkness.
So why do you feel you do that?
I don't know. It's just a balance thing. So I will, whenever there's a lot of love being embraced, I'll always start to identify the shadow aspects that no one is acknowledging. No different than if I'm in a very toxic, dark environment, I'll always start acknowledging all of the light that's there that's not being acknowledged. And it's because I believe in the yin and the yang, and I believe that is normal. The yin and the yang is normal, and the universe is always trying to bring us to this union place where we accept the light. And if you look in the yin and the yang has the opposite dot, the yin has the opposite dot, and that's what I essentially do. So when I come I'm always trying to come to a balanced place, and that's what I believe is peace. That's what I believe is safe. I don't believe in all love and light. I don't believe in doomsday and everything is darkness and destruction. I don't believe in those polarities. I believe that reality is the balance of them all. That's how I choose to live, so within and so without.
No, beautifully put. No, you made me think about a lot of things. No, because I think that's how I was before, right? I was very like that. If someone would come, I think I would try to be more positive, right? Like, just nothing really got to me. But then after, like, at a certain point, and I don't know, I guess as you were saying it, I was analyzing, like, what was that point where I kind of got a little more towards the darker side, but it was more like just not taking shit anymore. It was like basically,
or acknowledging what other people won't. So everybody's acting like everything's great, and you're like, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? I'm actually seeing this darkness, even though it's the happy birthday, or it's a wedding, or it's a celebration. And you're like, yeah, but I'm seeing all this darkness that everyone else is avoiding. And it doesn't mean that you have to then bring the darkness into the situation. It's more just acknowledging, right? The polaring energies that are in any space. If there's love and light, there's darkness there, and you can have all of that love and light with also accepting the darkness that is there, which is where we step into a higher vibration, which is the unconditional love vibration, which is the yin and the yang, where you have that love and you shine bright in the midst of any of those energies. And that's what I believe Lilith is the morning star of Lucifer. The Venus goddess, the Venus of love, descended down into hell. And when she rose up, she was no longer the goddess of love. She was the morning star of Lucifer, meaning she had blended the highest alkaline love with the darkest pits of hell and created an entity.
Oh, wow. I'm not too familiar with, I've heard of Lilith, but I don't know. I mean, we have it in our astrological chart, right? Our birth chart or whatever. So what exactly does that say about us in the birth chart, like our Lilith?
Well, I'm not an astrologer, I'll be honest. I have a relationship with Lilith outside of astrology, so I wouldn't be the best person to educate you about that, but I am a daughter of Lilith. I believe that human civilization did not come from Adam and Eve. I believe that Lilith manifested Adam and Adam manifested Eve. And Eve created the world we live in today. And I believe that there are lots of other things hijacking the world that we live today. But I believe we are all birthed from Lilith. And Lilith is the entity that is encompassed of all the darkness that this world has, and all the light that is included in it is Lilith. So I am a daughter of Lilith. I don't believe I'm a daughter of Eve. I believe I'm a daughter of Lilith. And I believe you guys are all daughters of Lilith.
Oh,
so that's a whole other story.
No, that's fine. I like learning anything that I have no knowledge in. I love learning, so it's fine. So that's what you feel you learned, like where did you learn that from? Is that more through channeling?
I feel like reading? Lilith, I did my own independent research online, and I actually had read just several different things, like that story about the goddess of love, Venus, descending down into hell to save her sister, being betrayed by her sister in hell, and then having to ascend from hell. And when she ascended from hell, she surpassed the heights of which she originally was at when she was the goddess of love. So essentially what it teaches us is the darkness that we go through propels us to light that we could never fathom, to places of love. Like, think of how much more love the goddess of Venus had the capability to give after going through all of that darkness. It just expands your ability to be able to understand why love is so important, why it's necessary, how much you can love after you go through the dark things you do, and you're still brave enough to love again. When you love again, the love is more powerful. That's just how I see it. We transmute our darkness and somehow that it generates this power to be able to love more. I don't believe, like, think of unconditional love. How can you have unconditional love with somebody if you haven't been exposed to their darkness or gone through dark times with them? You just love them. You love the beautiful feelings, the lightness, the love, but you don't have the highest vibration, which is unconditional love. You would have to go through, you'd have to transmute darkness, pain, sorrow, fear in order to reach that vibration. But once you do, that kind of love feels like concrete instead of like wood that can mold and rot and decay over time. Because that's what happens when, you know, everybody thinks they're looking for love, but you're not. You're looking for unconditional love, and you'd have to unconditionally love yourself. And I don't know how you would do that if you weren't willing to go and descend down into your own hell and face all of your own darkness and evil ways, and how your pain and trauma made you not a lover, not love, and not care about life. And then healing that so that you can love at a higher capacity. So I believe that story of the goddess of Venus and rising as the morning star of Lucifer was really just the story of Lilith. And there's a lot of different names, you know, in the Bible. You know, Lilith isn't even in it. She's only depicted as a screech owl. Okay. I also believe she was the snake in the Garden of Eden. That was Lilith, and they depicted her as the snake to try to demonize her. because of her independence. Lilith essentially challenges everything the patriarchy, colonialism, and capitalism stands for. So they had to diminish as much as possible Lilith's presence, because Lilith would have done what Jesus tried to do, which was inspire us all to manifest and be kings and queens and utilize this world like the playground that it is, and have ownership over our experience instead of submitting our will to the powers that be, which is why they killed Christ, why they killed all of our prophets, and why they made Lilith into this weird snake-like bird creature, which I'm not saying that she isn't the screech owl. I'm not saying that she can't. The snake doesn't represent her, but that was a whole deity. Okay, a prominent figure like Jesus was, like Mary was, like anybody else in any of these books and Bibles was. But the patriarchy could not pay homage to such a powerful woman because it went against what the patriarchy is. Right.
So do you think that story of Jesus was really the story of Lilith, and they changed it, or about the
No, I just feel like there's like a reincarnation. It's like Jesus was the son of Lilith millions of years down. It's like a bloodline. And I look at the story of Jesus very, very differently than what I was taught in Catholicism. I went to Catholic school as a kid. What I've read, as an adult, I revisited, the Bible and read it, and I channeled a completely different story about a man who had been hunted down his entire life. They killed his parents, which is why they tried to say he was immaculately conceived to defer from the horrible story of his parents, why they were killed, which is why he was born in a manger. And the woman who immaculately conceived him adopted him, knew his parents, and essentially vowed an oath to teach him who he was in a way that his parents could not, because they were hunted and murdered. And that's why several times you cannot account for where Jesus was or what he was doing, because he was on the run. He was on the run. He's been hunted down his entire life. I mean, they even hunted down his kids and his kin and tried to tell us he didn't have any children, which is a lie. Right. So I see that Jesus was, I believe that the reason why he was hunted was because he was preaching the laws of the universe. And if we all inherited the laws of the universe, we could have never been enslaved.
100%.
There's no way.
Yeah.
So,
no.
Shout out to Big Bro.
So do you feel that was channeled, or you read about that?
I channeled that.
Oh, okay. Very interesting.
I channeled that because I started channeling Jesus when I asked God. I said, God, you're fucked up, And God's like, what now? What now? Well, I said, well, because like Jesus did all this work, suffered, and then you still sent him down to hell for 3 days before bringing him home. Like that seems fucked up to me. And God said he did that to save all of us. He went down there and lit up hell like a Christmas tree. We didn't even know there was light, man. We didn't even know there was a way out. Do you know how many souls Jesus liberated when his ass went down to hell for 3 days? Do you know how many of us came up out of the pits of hell, followed that light? So I believe he did die for our sins. And I believe that, he was preaching the laws of the universe and trying to curb the era of slavery that we were about to embark in. And why he was killed in such a dramatic manner was to discourage us from preaching the same thing, because you would be hung up and brutally murdered like that too, right? So then we started to adhere to the book that we were given, and we came out of union with the laws of the universe, which is why a lot of people struggle to manifest what it is they want, their dream jobs, their dream careers, entrepreneurism, their lovers, their partners, freedom. A lot of people struggle to manifest. And this is deeply rooted in religion and how they killed the prophets who were teaching us the laws in their own unique ways.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. No, thank you. And see, like, that was definitely, wow, okay, I have to two kind of things. So why do you feel that now this is happening where so many people like the time, and do you see it ever going back to that, to where they try to kill off all the prophets and everyone speaking up? Because the same, I was in tune since I was little. You know, the first premonition I can remember, I dated to about 5 years old. And I remember telling people and everyone looking at me like I was crazy. But I knew as a child, I was like, I know I already seen all of this. Like I was 100% sure. And everyone was laughing at me like if I was crazy. But I remember I was able to date it back to that time, right? So, and even then, it still took me a long time to start talking about, because the same, I was around a lot of religious people at first when I started, okay, who do I go to tell them, hey, I'm having premonitions, I'm this and that, like, who do I talk to, right? Like, so I started looking and I saw the church wasn't it, because, you know, as spiritual as it's supposed to be, they weren't about that, like, right? Like it's okay to have all these people, like all the things. That's why I related to the Bible and I read it like all from beginning to end by myself, because I was like, oh, this happened to me, this happened to me, this. So all these stories I was relating to. So it became like my little instruction manual, but alone, not within the context of the church, because they didn't really believe in that. So it was amazing. But why do you feel that is happening like right now? And do you see it going where they're trying to suppress us again, like people that are speaking up about the spiritual, or like, how do you feel
And
about
they
that?
can try to suppress it, but they Jesus tried to tell you he was going to resurrect again.
Mm.
And people really thought he was going to come as some man. He resurrected through the consciousness of all of us. The only thing worse, the only thing scarier for the powers that be than having Jesus is having 10 billion Jesuses walking around talking about the laws of the fucking universe.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay, so that was the karma of it, is now exactly what Jesus was preaching, but there was 12 people doing it, which was a lot easier to suppress and kill and put down. Now you've got 12 million people in one nation. Good luck.
Mm.
Good fucking luck. Okay, so that's why I believe this whole they know that the mass awakening is occurring. They know, like, even the Willie Lynch psychology knew that mental slavery and imprisonment. So, you know, lights against dark, young against old, man against woman, all that kind of conflict would last 500 years post slavery. So you have to understand, a lot of these things that have been put upon us, they were strategically put in place with an understanding that it was temporary, that this would last 300 years, this would last 500 years, you know, in 1500 years from now, this will change. So I'll be really honest, the more free, if it's a choice about us, okay? Those powers are always going to be what they are. We have a choice. It's the yin and the yang. Pick what you want. If you don't want to bear the burden of freedom, because there is a burden, there's weight to that. Okay? You have another option for you. You can be a slave. Okay? You don't have to think for yourself. You don't have to use your free will and be accountable for everything that comes with when you use your own free will, which is karma. Okay? You can surrender all of this to somebody and they will take it for you and they will put you where you need to be. And you don't have to have these decisions. You don't have to awaken. You don't have to grow. You don't have to ascend. But if you want to do that, there's an option for you. There is an option. So this is what it's about. Before, we weren't conscious. There wasn't a choice. We fell into something. We are now coming to a time where we have a choice. What do you want to be? Do you want to be free? Well, here's a path. The path of authenticity, the path of truth, the path of healing. This is what liberation and freedom is. This is how you manifest your greatest dreams and aspirations. But if you don't have your greatest dreams and aspirations, you don't believe in them, you don't have them, or you would rather achieve the dreams and aspirations of somebody else, there's an option for you too. How accountable do you want to be about your human experience? How in union are you with your soul, and how much permission are you going to give it to live? Do you want to be an accountable soul, meaning you own your free will and you want to bear the weight of freedom? And you'd be surprised. Everybody thinks they want freedom until they got it. And if you can tell it every time, people get freedom. And as soon as they do, they blame someone when it doesn't work the way they wanted to, because they weren't actually willing to bear the weight of freedom. There's somewhere for you. There is slavery. There are many infrastructures that will take that from you and say, you don't have to worry about free will. We'll take it. And you don't even have to be accountable. You just have to do what you're told. And when you decide you don't want to do what you're told anymore, and you want to do what you tell yourself that you're divinely guided to do, there's another path, an option for you. And it's the laws of the universe. All is of the mind. The law of correspondence, the laws of polarity. There's more, but those laws are it's like the most basic manual to make it simple. If you choose freedom and liberation and your greatness, the laws of the universe will take you there and help you to understand it. The yin and the yang, man. You want to be conscious. You want to know that you have a choice. Look at the yin and the yang. That emblem will answer. When I have children, I don't have children yet, but when I do, that'll be the first thing I put in front of them to learn about spirituality. The first thing I'll expose to them to is the yin and the yang emblem. And I won't even start going into any long talk. I'll just see what they do with it, how they look at it, how they color it, and how they fill in the colors. And you get what I mean? Because that is really the basis of this. And I feel like a lot of people are also doing shadow work, which means they're claiming their own darkness. And when you do, your darkness cannot be used against you, which is what a lot of these powers that be do. They use your darkness against you to suppress you and imprison you. But when you start to heal your own darkness and claim it as your own, you now become in direct conflict with the darkness that oppresses you. So now your darkness is like, well, I can oppress myself. What the fuck? I don't need you to oppress me. I can destroy myself. I don't need you. You get what I'm saying? This is what your own darkness will say. But so many people deny they have darkness and are literally being molded, manipulated, and used by a darkness greater than them. Not me. Not me. Oh, I've got enough darkness in me. My darkness is way too bossy to be letting these dark entities boss me around anymore. So.
No, that was amazing. Thank you for
no problem
saying all that. Let me see, how much time do we have for that? I know you.
I've got probably another 5 minutes or so.
Oh, okay. Then I won't go into any long talk. So going forward, do you feel like what is one of the things so that's gonna be kind of where the world is heading towards, those that want to stay kind of a prisoner of their own mind, really, and then give someone else their power. And then on the other side, those that want to be free, basically, but there's gonna be burdens with it, right? That are gonna come with.
There's weight. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. If you're the king of your own castle and nobody else is, and you're free and you run your shit, your crown's heavy and it has weight on it. Greatness, your greatest dreams, aspiration, your freedom has weight. And a lot of people don't want to carry it. So they give it to an employer, or they give it to their government, or they give it to whoever. I feel like COVID and the vaccine shot was a perfect example of that, right? How we don't have sovereignty over our body and how we've relinquished our free will to another power. All the government had to say was, you need this vaccine or you will die. No questions asked what this will affect on my body. Is this actually true? Do I resonate with that in my soul? Nothing. Yeah. Total abandonment of that. And I'm not saying there's a lot of people who really thought that, but they're like, listen, I got to catch a flight and I have a job and I don't really give a fuck about this. The Matrix can play their games and I don't really care. I'm not talking about you guys. I'm not talking about everybody who went and took the shot. I'm talking about the people who didn't question it until after the fact, after the third dose, and they're going, I don't know if I want to take a fourth one in a year. Then they started to question it. There were people who, and then feeling dirty about that. What's inside my body? What did I give permission to? And then the blaming. The government did this and the government did this. The government did what it's always going to do. It is a force of evil that is here and it's doing what it does. Okay? It's being its own energy. It's exactly what it's created to be. We have to get past that. We pick our government. We created that. That darkness is a reflection of us. It does not run us. Okay. It is us. We created it. We could get rid of it tomorrow.
Mm.
Tomorrow, literally, it could just be gone tomorrow. We would all have to collectively come to that mental point, though. And by the time we do, the government will be gone. I think by the time we all get there, it would have already faded away, and we would have been like, we could have done that hundreds of years ago.
No, 100%.
I believe
Yeah.
we're going back to a more tribal way of living, where we have more councils and we have elders, and we come back into union with a community, and we have town halls. Like, when's the last time you've been to a town hall, dude? Like, where you're sitting there till 12 o'clock at night with your community, yelling and talking and da-da-da-da-da. Like, we don't do that shit anymore. But that was our life. You know, we were excited about that. You going to the town hall? Oh, fucking, of course I'm going to fucking town hall. Who isn't going to the town hall? Are the kids asleep? No, the kids are fucking coming, man. Like, it was, the whole village would be out. We would be out for fucking 2 days, man. We've got the nonnas cooking because we're out here talking and debating, and that's why we were so tight. Because everything we made, we did together. We were okay with debating. We knew there was always going to be 2 sides of looking at it. That's why we had our council of elders, which allowed us to have 2 sides, and we're always trying to bring us back to a middle point. But the entire community, from the kids to the elders to everybody in between, had a say, was important in the discussion. Now, there is no discussion. You're being told to vote for what? For what? The illusion? You're not being asked your opinion about anything. You're being asked to make a decision about what is being presented in front of you, instead of really, I think you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't like to get too much into politics. Honestly,
No,
I'm not a politician. You know what I mean? I just think that people, if you don't want to question the government, then you just vote for what's there. Because if you do question it, there's nothing to vote for. Nothing.
No.
In my opinion.
So go ahead.
No, just in my opinion is what I said.
No, but thank you for sharing that. And just real quick, to go back to before we close it out, about what you said during the whole pandemic and all that. Like, I have that much, like, I don't question the spiritual thing, right? Like, I'm so connected that, I mean, you know, like, it proved itself like 1,000,000%, right? Like, I ain't gonna go into the whole story. Like, my very first, when it was just undoubted, like, there was no doubt,
You gotta
right?
interview yourself. You gotta do your own interview so that you can give your own story. That's what you should do before you post this one.
No, I already, like, I was interviewed once on some channel, and they didn't ask me these questions. No, I wrote a book. I wrote 3 books already this year. This year has been busy. Like,
amazing.
yeah. So I went crazy this year. I did like 3 albums, 3 books, an audio book. So I went just crazy this year. But so what I was gonna say, like, see, during that thing, usually I get 1 vision and I listen. But during the whole pandemic thing, they gave me 3 visions. So once they gave me those 3 visions, I drew my line in the sand, and I lost everything because of the thing, and I had to build up again, right? So I went through all that suffering, but so that's why I knew, like, I get chills just thinking about it, like, about the burdens. Yeah, I know those burdens that you got to carry when someone tells you this is what you're gonna do, or you're gonna get everything taken away, and it's like, okay, take it. Yeah. So just to, man, I forgot what the point I was gonna make with that. Oh, well, anyways, I mean, I'll probably just delete that word, because even that, oh yeah, they even showed us how much control they have, because I put 2 videos, and I was just saying, I wasn't questioning the medical professionals, nothing. I just said, I just wanted to share my spiritual story. This is what happened to me spiritually. I'm not a medical nothing. This is what I was guided. This is why I made my choice. This is the way I went, you know, and they deleted. I got my 2 warnings on this channel and on my other channel. Yeah, because I just mentioned I didn't get
they're doing big shit when you're getting shadow banned like that, bro.
Yeah, I didn't, I was just like, oh, I didn't get the thing because of this, and boom, I was like, what? Like, it's crazy, you know. So just to show, like, obviously, yeah, they have that much control, and the way they're pushing us when, you know, they block you and this kind of stuff for that, right? So just to add to that. But no, thank you so much. So I'll put all your links, www.smudgealot.com.
Yeah, and then queencup.ca. So we are running retreats in Jamaica this year. It is a spiritual retreat, a 5-day retreat, and we take you to different sacred sites, and we bond together, we talk, we have circle times, but we're also on like an adventure every day, and we're in the beautiful Westmoreland part of Jamaica. And yeah, if you guys are interested in doing the retreat, you guys can go to www.queencup.ca. You can find me on YouTube, Queen Cup, as well as Patreon, Patreon.com/Queen Cup. And then for all frankincense and myrrh, sustainably sourced, fair traded, highest quality, www.smudgealot.com.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And no, I've seen some of the videos from Jamaica. It looks amazing, really beautiful.
And it's a co-ed, bruv. It's co-ed. It's not just girls. So feel free to come, bring the guys, you know.
All right, and oh, real quick, so people know what, when they join your Patreon, like what kind of things do they get to?
Yeah, so on Patreon, it's essentially breaking down the energy. So I do daily content over there, where on YouTube, it's not daily, it's not as regular. And most of those energies I would have already broken down at some point. So I feel more versed with it. We're on Patreon. Some of these messages come in very avant-garde, very cryptic, and we work through it. So I could be reading on an energy for about 3 days before we better understand the download and what the universe is trying to communicate to us. So we really do, you know, ascension. And there's also a Discord. We have a Discord server. So if you sign up for any of the Patreon tiers, you get access to the Discord server, which is where Angel Gang or anybody who's watching the content can go talk about what they're going through spiritually. People talk about their dreams. People are sharing their astrological knowledge. People are asking random questions about what they just experienced, saw, signs, synchronicities. So it's a beautiful community, like an interactive community, because I do feel like that's the next step for what I'm doing. It's more interactive, more community based, more linking up, people getting to meet each other. Like, think about it. We've been ascending, you know, online for years and never got to meet each other, you know, hug or have a one-on-one conversation, or, you know, smoke a joint or whatever the case is. So I just think that that's the next step. And whether it's on the retreats, whether it's on Discord, whether it's other events that I will be putting on throughout the next 2 years, it's definitely going to be a focus on bringing us together in the actual 3D, because I'm pretty sure Angel Gang, they love me and they know I love to talk, but they're talkers too. And I think that we just need to have a more multi-dimensional conversation, and we just have to create the spaces to do that. So yes, we do have a Discord server, but it is a private server only available to Patreon members.
Okay, and what is Discord exactly? I'm not familiar with it.
Oh, Discord is like a place where you can make your own servers.
Oh, okay.
And then you invite people, and then you create a community in there. So like in our Discord, you can video chat people, you have meeting rooms, you can voice note people, you can privately message people. Like, it's so interactive, and I'm just like, it's so perfect for like Angel Gang and what we do. Like, these are people who've been ascending and like communicating in the chats for years, that finally get to see each other's face or connect on a one-on-one. People are already linking up places. Like on Discord, I'm more like a ghost, because I don't want to dominate my energy there, and I already dominate YouTube. I just wanted Discord to be an organic community where people could just meet each other, have conversations they might feel like they can't have with people. You know, it's kind of, I don't talk to people about this. Well, you have somewhere where you can, and then you could also interact on deeper levels, like on a one-way conversation or a video call, or so. Yeah, Discord is a fun place.
Okay. No, thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah,
No problem.
I'll check it out. Yeah, thank you. So, Destiny, thank you so much. It was an honor. Yeah, maybe we could do it again sometime. I still haven't really done a live, so maybe one day, if you're willing, we could even do a live. And
Oh my God, I would love that. And I would also love to have you on the channel as well. I want to start interviewing light workers, people who are actually in mission and the unique ways they've chose to step in mission and the sometimes traumatic ways we get to that point. So I would love to have you on the channel as well. And I'll keep you posted on when I'm ready to do those interviews. You'd be a great person to interview, fam.
Absolutely. I'd be honored. Okay.
All right. Thank you
Okay.
so much for having me.
No,
Mwah.
thank you. Thank you. Likewise.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Life may move fast, story may move slow. I met a silly man who said he'd make it snow. We look up out towards space, screaming at the sky. One day pass away, but never look inside. Breathe in, breathe out. Life is amazing, but we'll figure this out. I mean, human beings, I ain't got no doubt.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sometimes you just feeling it, you know what I'm saying? You just feeling it. Woo! And I wanna feel this way forever.